Unlimited contactless cards may be lead to spending sprees. Unlimited contactless card. Now, to be honest, right, I'm game for this because the other day, or not the other day, but when I went to fucking buy my fucking M4 MacBook Air, right? Big up the fucking viewers, right? Big up everybody that kind of tunes in and hangs out. I appreciate all of you. I appreciate all of you. I appreciate all of you for tuning in and supporting the channel, because you know the support and the views I get from the channel is what allows me to go and purchase a fucking brand new M4 MacBook Air in the first place. But when I went to go purchase my brand new M4 MacBook Air at my local Apple store, I did have to go back home and get my wallet, because I don't really carry my wallet with me. I have my contactless card, you know, on my fucking Apple Wallet thing, right? And I use that to pay with everything. I have all my cards kind of listed on there. So I had to come back home because I knew, oh shit, the limit for spending on contactless, I think, it's like £30 or £100 or something, right? And the laptop was like $899 or $899 or something. So I had to run back home and get my card. So I would actually be game for this, because there's been parts, you know, times in my life where I've needed to buy something, but I don't have my card with me, and I can't pay contactless. I'm just leave it and just go home, you know? So I wouldn't mind the ability to pay contactless on big purchases, but I wonder what it's going to do for scamming. I wonder what that's going to do for scamming, what's that's going to do for robberies and shit, because now you can literally tap and like take someone's entire paycheck by buying a fucking really nice TV, a PS5 or something, do you know what I mean? With contactless. Might be kind of crazy. But let's read the article regardless. Courtesy of BBC. It says spontaneous spending is likely to rise if the limit for contactless cards is increased or scrapped entirely, academics say. At present, the need to press the 4-digit PIN for purchases over 100 gives people a timely prompt about how much they are paying, lowering the risk of debt-fueled purchases. Earlier this week, the UK's finance regulator proposed that banks and cards providers set their own limits or are allowed to remove them entirely. That would make entering a PIN even more of a rarity. I quite like that, actually. I quite like that. So banks will have to set their own limit. So maybe one bank would say their limit is 500 contactless. Another one might say it's 2,000. I don't mind that. Pardon me. Banks and some BBC readers say consumers should be able to set their own contactless limits as debate for the issues picks up. They're not going to do that. They're not going to let you set your own limits. They're going to set a limit, and it's going to be what we have across the board. That's probably the easiest way to kind of regulate it, for lack of a better term. Contactless payments have become part of the everyday life for millions of people across the world. When they were introduced in the UK in 2007, wow, 2007, the transaction limit was set at £10. Increasing the threshold since then included relatively big jumps around the time of the pandemic to 45 in 2020, then to 100 in October 2021. They prompted surges in average contactless spends. Okay, so every time they increase the contactless limit, the spending goes up. Interesting. Interesting. Clearly the average, so yeah, it's good, because now, the problem is with the limit now, you can't even buy a decent round in a bar for 100 now, isn't it? You have to be a bit wary where you go out. I don't think one person could buy a round, really. Depends where you are. Clearly, the average would rise because more and higher value purchases could be made via the contactless without the PIN. But what is much harder to quantify is whether people were spending more frequently with larger amounts than they would have been the case if they had needed to enter their PIN. Richard Whittle, an economist at the Southwark Business School, says the extra convenience for consumers can come at a cost. He says, if this ease of payment leads to consumer spending without thinking, they may be more likely to buy what they really don't really want or need. That already happens, unfortunately, Professor. That already happens with fucking shit like Klarna. The fucking genie's already left the fucking bottle, mate. No way you can fucking cap that shit. He says it could be a particular issue for credit cards when people are spending borrowed money and accumulating debt. He believes regulators should consider whether to have different rules for contactless cards than the contactless debit cards. Stuart Mills, lecturer in economics at the University of Leeds, says that cash gives visible and immediate feedback on how much money you have, while PIN is an important friction point for controlling spending. I've done this thing. This is my kind of thing that I do all the time. Whenever I go on my little techno tourism weekend trips and shit to Berlin, Amsterdam, or whatever, I always withdraw money, and I always try, if possible, especially when I go to Berlin anyway. Most of you will know if you go to Berlin that you should always try and withdraw your money at the banks and not at those little, I know they're convenient, those little yellow cash points, but they charge you a lot. And I just would rather, I know it's only €3 or €4, but that's €3 or €4 that could go on a coffee, that could go on the currywurst, that could go on a fucking, you know, some sort of pastry somewhere. I'd rather have that euros for myself or even for a tip. So what I'll do is I'll find a bank, which some of them are usually open 24 hours. Some banks, you can walk to them and they've got a section that you can open and you can come and go in. And I'll withdraw money and try and withdraw if I've got time. If it's not busy, and it's kind of fucked up that I do this, but if it's not busy, I'll withdraw exactly how much I need in £10 increments. In £10 denominations, sorry. In €10 denominations. So I'll just sit there in front of the cash point and just withdraw €10. Like if I need 100, I'll withdraw obviously €10 10 times. I'll just set that, and then I'll take those €10 and I'll fold them individually and put them in my wallet. So then every time I'm going out, I know exactly how much I've got, spending €10. You know what I mean? I can kind of have a visual idea of how much I'm spending so I don't spend too much. Because I've noticed sometimes when I'm sure some of you guys do the same thing. When you take out your money and you've got all 50 notes or you've got 20 notes, it doesn't feel real. It feels like Monopoly money. You're just like throwing it everywhere. And by the time you realize on the first day, you already spent like €300. I've done before in the past. I think one time I spent like €400 in the past, just like not even on like adult vitamins, just on like stuff, going out and, you know, eating and shit, like whatever, gallivanting around town. But if you divvy up that way, it's better. So I found for sure that I spend less money using cash. I think most people do. The card is the devil. Removing such frictions while offering convenience. Big up this lady. Who is she? Teresa. Big up Teresa. Both academics have raised their concern before, but it's not solely for a theoretical argument. In Kent market town of Seven Oaks, Robert Ryan told BBC, I love how there's so many people nowadays with these names, isn't it? With like 2 first names. I feel like there's a prevalence of that nowadays. I feel like every other day when I'm doing this pod, I'm speaking about somebody who has like 2 first names. Big up Robert Ryan. Robert Ryan told the BBC that entering the PIN does give me a bit of a prompt to make sure that I'm not overspending and tap and go. However, the reality for many people is that under pressure from the cost of living, they are rarely spending more than £100 in one go anyway. So contactless has become a norm. Okay, that's true. That's actually true, to be fair. There's not going to be a lot of times that you go out or you're going to be spending over £100 on contactless anyway, you know? To be fair, that does make a good point. Because a lot of people nowadays are eating together in groups. You split the bill if you're sensible. You just split it 4 ways, 3 ways, evenly. You know, when you're buying something, you should have a budget in mind. So yeah, that's actually a good point. Researchers at Barclays suggest that 95% of eligible in-store card transactions were contactless in 2024. Teresa Takas or Takais or Takasis, how do we say her name? Apologies to Teresa. Teresa Takasis, I'm going to say, or Takais, who works at the florist in Seven Oaks, says that over the last couple of years, people were cutting back on spending, such as asking for smaller bouquets. Yeah, that's definitely, you can definitely recognize that straight away. If you're a florist, you definitely see, okay, cool, there's a trend of people getting smaller and smaller bouquets. The days of people coming in with massive baskets for Mother's Day or New Year's, Valentine's Day are fucking long gone. Miss Takas also points out that the majority of customers now pay via digital wallets on their smartphone. Paying this way already has an unlimited payment limit owing to the inbuilt extra security. Dr. Whittle says that it's likely to dilute the impact of raising the contactless card limit on spontaneous or reckless spending because young people in particular are paying by phone. Some say scrapping the contactless card limit is overdue because it's far less relevant for customers with PIN. Regulators are finally catching up with how people pay, says Hannah Fitzsimmons. Digital wallets on smartphones face no limits, so why should cards in the past? But yeah, how contact limits compares internationally. So, in Canada, it's $250. Wow. EU is only €50. US is unlimited. Okay, shit, we're really far in apart. We're really way behind. In the US, contactless pay is unlimited. I didn't know that. Singapore's unlimited too. Switzerland is 80 Swiss francs. Wow. UK is 100. Okay, cool. Cool. I love to see it. I love to see it. Moving on.